All right, welcome back, everyone. It's part two of my What Did I Do Wrong? Or whatever I titled the video series. And we're back in this position where I played the word do it, which seems just like a standard idea. I would have played it, I think, no matter if Jason phonied or not. I don't know if I would say that, but it just seems like the normal play to make here in this specific position where I'm down 6 points, so just down a tempo. And I knew that Jason had the letters X and U in his rack, and he tried to play XU at I1 here, pluralizing Koyo the wrong way, and I challenged his playoff, and so I was faced with this position where I had partial knowledge of his rack, and as you can see, I inferred or specified partial opponent rack, if you can read that down here. And even with that, I went through around 3,000 iterations of a simulation, and it does tell me my play is the top choice. However, a couple of other plays are close behind, such as Guild and Ursid, and also in this specific sort of position, there are a lot of things you could do that are outside the box. I didn't see any ideas uh, such as that, just outside the box ideas. There could be like something to say about playing Turgid here, which does seem a bit crazy since there are a bunch of eyes out, and Jason probably has an eye as well as a U, and would just play XI, or worse, he could have something even better than that. Um, but just something like that bizarre, like maybe setting up your own stuff in a weird way is the sort of play you want to find in positions where your opponent's lost a challenge and you have partial knowledge of their rack. Because, like I said in the last video, every other letter in the pool is less likely to be on an opponent's rack in a vacuum after you understand that, after you have actual knowledge of two of the tiles on their rack. Now, that doesn't account for inference. So, as I was trying to talk about in the last video, there could be something to be said about trying to figure out what sorts of letters Jason has alongside his X and U, and what sorts of letters he probably doesn't have because of the play that he made. So I guess he probably didn't have the Q when he played XU. That's something I could probably determine. He didn't have a bingo, um, like duplexes. I don't know, like some that doesn't work. Um, Ulick sites, I guess. Um, there's some things you can maybe figure out if you have infinite time. So I'm not convinced that I made the right call here with do it. Something like guild is possible. I think the main reason that Quackle doesn't like this is because it's possible Jason just does have a big play through the G, or just AX if he has an A, giving him a spot to play for 39. But he might, I don't know, he's probably not, he probably doesn't have an X. I'm not really sure. Sorry, if he does have an X, he probably doesn't have an A, but I'm not really sure what. I can't really put my finger on why I think that. And Ursid, the same reason it doesn't really like Ursid is if Jason has an E, even though there are only two E's left, which is just crazy at this stage of the game. If he has an E, he could play Xed or Axed in a spot, which would really suck for me. But these plays are definitely worth considering. What else is there? Turget is also worth considering, just to play off my G and a lot of other tiles and try to maybe draw the blank. There are some bombs in the pool. Like the unseen letters are terrible already. Like we've pretty much used all the good letters at this point in the game, except for a blank and two S's and some bingo tiles. But the unseen letters are much worse than average. So going for what we call turnover, which is maximizing the amount of tiles you draw to try and draw the good tiles, is actually not a good idea just generally in this sort of position, because sure, you're likelier to draw everything, but not just the good stuff. You're likelier to draw the bad stuff as well, and there's a lot more bad stuff here than good stuff. So something like Turgid that could run into some trouble. Tide, I consider something like this, just to score some points. But yeah, I think if I'm going to do something like that, I just play do it. Anyway, so I played do it, and Jason quickly responded with big So I still know that he has XU, and this is kind of worrisome um, because I drew this rack, JMB VGRS. Yeah, JMBV was my draw. So I basically thought that I had no play here. And correct, like I could play Sev and keep horrendous stuff, or I could exchange. And what do I exchange down to is the question. Potentially the J is worth keeping, huh? But there are just so many weird things that I could do here that might be correct. What am I writing? MVGRB. Let's see what keeping the J might do. Like I could potentially draw into a big play at C2. Because this board is really, really, really unfriendly to bingos. So it's really just going to be, I think, a lug fest rather than a slug fest. I don't know if I'm correctly using the word lug, but like just dinky plays probably for the rest of the game is what we're going to see, unless somebody draws a really, really good rack in bingos. So let's see with the inference again with XU, what to do. And I mean, there's something to be said about playing Sev. You take a 20-point lead and you can draw into some big plays. I honestly did not consider this play at all whatsoever. I definitely autopiloted my exchange. And I kept RS, which might also not be so good because there are actually more vowels than consonants left in the pool, I think. 5, 7, 10, 12, 14. Okay, so 28 unseen tiles, 14 of which are vowels, one of which is a Y, one of which is a blank. So 14 vowels, 12 consonants. So yeah, vowel heavy, but the vowels aren't so nice. Lots of I's, a couple U's, not many E's. Um, so really, it's so crazy that just Sev might be the best play. Honestly, and kind of shocked. Like it goes against so much of what you learn. Just like keep your S's, don't keep terrible letters. But this board is so low entropy. Like there's just not that much that's going to happen that deviates from the norm on this board. So any score on that sort of board, any way that you keep scoring is really good for you. Because if you score 0, I mean, even if you're scoring 0 and getting better letters, again, there isn't a big deviation from the norm. So drawing into a bingo is sort of like paddling against the tide. And the tide of the game is really just that whoever's going to get the best scoring plays is going to win. So if I play Sev and I draw an A, I get jab. If I draw a U, I get stuff like grub or probably even something better. Grub looks pretty good. Which might even like set me up with the J later if I get like jags or jigs. And if I draw an I, what happens if I draw an I? I'm just trying to think here. If I draw an I, I get jimp. U, I get jump. Okay, jump I get with the U. Jimp, jump. With an O, I get job. It's really not looking so bad, honestly. If I just manage to draw one vowel, I will have scoring plays, which is just really hilarious. And so obviously, scoring 0 does allow me to be more likely to draw a vowel or a couple vowels, have a balanced rack. But on this board, there are 2 bingo lines through the L and at 2H here. And these letters are just so bad. And Jason's not bingoing, he has XU. So I just figured maybe it was a good idea for me to try and get a bingo eventually on this board. But I also just saw my letters and I was like, oh, this is horrible. But the V is the worst letter on my rack. So although I'm getting rid of the best letter of my rack with Sev, with the S, getting rid of the V is really, really a positive here. Yeah, very crazy stuff. So I think I just play Sev. Yeah, let's say, what do we even call this? I didn't find the play. Um, So yeah, I guess we'll call it a finding mistake. I mean, I could have found the play, so I'm thinking it's like a tactical, strategic mistake. But anyways, I think it's everything. Just finding this play, generating this play is important in such a weird position as I was in, and keeping MS and MRS perform better than keeping RS. But again, we haven't reached the 3000 iterations, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, keeping an M is pretty good. I kept the R just in case I drew an E for repeoples again. But at this point, yeah, who's gonna extend peoples? Maybe nobody. He has XU, and the place to play XU, which I was somewhat expecting he would do, and I was trying to maybe delay it with do it, is he just plays at N2, which gives back a nice scoring spot. So I didn't want him to do that, and me not have a response. But if I just draw one vowel, I guess it depends on the vowel. If I draw an O, an A, or an E, or a U after Sev, I will be able to respond to XU. Anyways, there's also huge spot lurking with Za, which was troublesome as well. Za here scores 51 points, which is almost as much as a bingo would score. So anyways, again, talking about all these scoring plays really makes me regret not scoring a single point on this turn. So I exchange 5. Jason drops his XU. And I draw into this rack, and I'm just like, where is the Q going for the entire rest of the game? Unless I draw a specific Q play, my Q is horror awful, as Shaquille O'Neal would say. If I draw a U, I can get Suk. If I draw an I have nowhere to play QI, as far as I can see. No pun intended there. And I guess like I could draw into cat. So the reason I'm saying this is there's one or two plays worth considering here. Oh, and this I didn't see. Oh, this could be a mistake too. This could be costly. Arroz, very nice play here. I considered playing Orzos, and I considered exchanging. Again, my mind was not expanded enough in this position. Wow, my exchange isn't even here. Oh my god. I exchanged QORR, which apparently SSZ only has a valuation of 10. That is really bad for having like 3 of the best tiles in the game together. Just have terrible synergy, apparently. Just at face value. So, okay. I'm going to run a simulation here because, again, there are so many options to consider. And I know that Jason no longer has XU. I have no information anymore, so the slate is clean. I just have to play the game. And he's just opened up a huge spot here, and there's still the Za spot. So the reason I exchanged down to SSZ is because if I draw an A, I get the Za bomb, but I don't want to give away an S. I don't want to throw an S back into the pool, which might be fine. Like, it might be okay to do that in this position, but normally you don't want to do that. Give your opponent the chance of drawing another S. But the S's, again, they're just like very dampened here. There's not much value in them. So it might just be a hindrance to me to keep 2 of them rather than just one. And I think this is probably another potential, if not clear, mistake here. But I'm going to edit the video because there's so many plays here simulating. It's going to take a very long time. And we'll see what Quackle thinks at the end of everything. Okay, so as previously shown by, I guess, my last play of not having played Sev, the engine is telling me, don't worry, just score, just keep scoring. I mean, it's telling me to worry, but it's telling me to be more worried about not scoring than scoring. So yeah, the exchanges is that I made is very far down the list. Again, this doesn't necessarily mean that I made the wrong play. It's the strongest indication so far, I would say, that my play is wrong. But yeah, as in the previous play, I should have just scored. I think I should have played Aros rather than Orzos, which just creates such an easy scoring spot. Um, but yeah, I was really, I don't know. The simulation is not going to understand. One of the things that might be wrong about these results is it's not going to understand that I'm gonna continue to try and draw into Za potentially, depending on what I draw, what plays I draw, because it's such a big play. So even if it's saying now that this has said valuation, it's assuming that I'm playing off my Z pretty much no matter what next turn, which is not going to happen. Um, and this is one of the pitfalls of the engine software we have right now is that it assumes even when it simulates, which is looking forward a few turns, um, rather than relying on a static valuation of a play. When it looks forward, it assumes that the plays that are judged to be the top static plays are going to be played because you cannot simulate on top of a simulation. You can't be like, okay, 4 turns down the line, we have to sort the plays out by another metric than equity, which is points versus leave, because that just takes an insane amount of computing power and like it becomes pretty much impossible, I would say, to do in Scrabble. So sometimes simulations are completely get it wrong because they assume that you're not going to make a certain type of play that I've already intended. I've stated my intention is to eventually try and draw into Za for 51. And even if I forego a 30-point play with my Z next turn, I'm still trying to do that. But anyways, maybe this is wrong still. I definitely have made at least one mistake this game. But I don't know if it's this. Um, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I'm heavily relying on the recursive factor. So not only am I relying on the recursive factor for drawing to Za, I'm also relying on another thing, which is keeping my S's, which again, if I'm keeping 3 letters, I'm keeping all these 3 letters next turn, what are the options that I have, right? So I think I do have to make a decision what letters that I'm keeping that have recursive value. Do the S's have recursive value or does the Z have recursive value? If all 3 of them have recursive value, I shouldn't be keeping all of them at once because they're preventing me from using the other ones that have recursive value, if you know what I mean. Like I can't just keep keeping 3 out of my 7 letters on my rack really, unless there's a huge ginormous play that I can be drawing into. So yeah, it's a very interesting concept. I could talk about it for hours probably. Trying to hit Za a 14 down the line. Questionable. And Jason plays Bleeny, gets rid of 2 eyes, and unfortunately blocks the play that I was actually going to make with the Z of Glitz through the L for 50 points. And I actually do end up playing the Z here, so forget everything I said, right? But it just depends on the position, right? So I ended up playing Tiz, which is probably the play here, even though I'm getting rid of the possibility of playing here. Jason could eventually just block here is a problem. The problem is these M1 plays are going to score a ton of points, and I need to score points. And I finally realized after so many turns that I need to score points to win this game. And I think Tiz is just a must play here. So yeah, it's sort of weird how things might change based on the position. Jason plays Way, which is one of the worst case scenarios in this spot. And he's ahead by a whopping 52 points. And I have unplayable 7-letter word of ogrisms, and I really don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I might want to try and set up a bingo lane. Something like is a very interesting idea. I just noticed now. Sets up my M for ism, and there are no other M's, and there are no other hooks to IS in NWL, and so it's kind of really hard to to block the setup. Huh. But it's not much of a setup because my letters are just really bad. And again, like I said earlier, this game was probably not going to be won by a bingo anyway. So what am I even trying to do? Yeah, maybe I play egoism. I think I might have to play egoism from the E. Here, let's put all these plays in here, which sets up my S. I don't know. I thought that there was some chance here that after the play I made of Sim, that either Jason would be stuck with a Q down the line, or I could somehow draw into Repeoples, which at this point would score 50 points. How much? It's like 49 points. But I could draw into Repeoples after Egoism. And so Egoism, the problem is it only scores 18 rather than 28, so Repeoples might not be enough. But to have the threat of not only Egoisms and Repeoples, that might be good enough in this position to somehow come away with the win. So yeah, I think this is probably the right play. If Jason has an S, he's probably just winning the game no matter what. Because if he has the S, he's probably going to eventually be able to play his Q. Maybe not. Cats, and there's a U unseen, and cheese, QIS, QATS, CINQS. So after a play like some, those options will potentially exist for the next couple turns. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know really what I was hoping for. I think I was hoping for the Q being unseen and Jason drawing it after he's played off the letters he would need to use it, or something. Very, very, very tough position. But I think maybe egoism. Set up multiple threats. Try and draw the blank. Yeah, trying to hit 3 people. So the whole game, this extension was, well, not the whole game. Until Wei was played, this had been blocked by XU. But yeah, it just keeps coming back as a possibility. But I played Som. I really don't know. I think egoism makes the most sense. And that's probably a mistake. And oh, sorry, I played Sim, not Som. Which I actually thought I might have been better off playing Som, but I figured if I drew the Q, I would get QIS after Som and not Sim. But if I drew the Q, I was just losing the game anyway, so I don't really know. Jason plays Equus, and now unseen to me is Janitor blank, and the game's over. Casgrove. Oh, it's almost like Cosgrove. But yeah, the problem here is no matter what, Jason has the word janitor, and no matter what, he has the word rejoin, which I didn't see, but I have no idea how I'm supposed to like block, because I can't play veg because he just plays janitor. If I play Vega, he just plays janitor through the A, which is almost as bad. I guess it's not. It's 46, whereas rejoin is 60. So maybe I'm supposed to play Vega here, and then play COS next turn. That's probably going to be the. Let's see what championship player thinks here. But yeah, again, extremely complicated game. Man, I can't believe how long this video, these two videos are going to be. But yeah, what I was hoping for here, I played Sev actually finally. I was hoping for the blank. Jason maybe misses rejoin. Well, I didn't see that he had rejoin, but that Jason pretty much misses everything, and then I get Repeoples and I somehow steal a game. But I played Sev a few turns too late, apparently. And yeah, we'll see what Engines thinks I'm supposed to do here to maximize or minimize how much I'm losing by. But it looks so bad. Forego, yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Forego blocks rejoin. All right. Yeah. Like Vega would Okay. So instead I played Sev, and he put down rejoin with the blank R because the R was what was in the bag. That's got to be his best end game, I think. But let's just run it. See what it says. I don't think Sajant could be any better unless there's some really, really good place for OI on the board. Yeah, it's gonna say oh, Ejido, 1 point better. Okay, because ANT has some nice plays here with Tan. Okay. And for me or Jack, by far the best play. Jason held this. I was hoping he would challenge, so I'd get some more point differential, even though it really didn't matter. This was a club game. Then he played for 19, released this hold, and won 453 to 359. So yeah, very frustrating, but very, very, very interesting game. I think there was a lot to learn from this game. The positions that arose from it were very unique. Obviously, they followed some other metaphysical games. I guess I'm using the word metaphysical probably wrongly again, but obviously aspects of the positions that arose have been seen before in many games that I've played, but yeah, nothing so weird, I think. After all the E's were pretty much gone at the beginning of the game, and all the remaining tiles were terrible, and the score was close. Yeah, very, very interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed as well, as much as I did, and learned from this as much as I did. Yeah, very educational, I think, very instructive. So yeah, that's what I do when I lose games at club. I usually don't look at the games I won, because you can't learn as much from those games. But I tend to look at the games I lost to see what I could have improved on. So yeah, I'm somewhat losing my voice for some reason. I guess I've been talking for a while. I probably just have to clear my throat, which I'll do after I end this video. Goodbye.